नीलू जी, आपने कल सेशन किया और हम सब लोगों के लिए भाई एक इट्स अ लाइफ टाइम एक्सपीरियंस। थोड़ा उस सेशन के बारे में बता दें, जो आप किसमें कौन कौन था, और बहुत ही ब्रीफली, बिकॉज बाकी सेशन तो डिटेल हम लोग लगा ही रहे हैं, लेकिन वेरी, और हम लोग बाहर खड़े हैं। ये मेथोडिस्ट चर्च, ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट, अगर मैं आग्रह करूंगा ज्ञानेश से कि एक बार दिखा दें, और सामने दिख नहीं रहा, उसके पीठ भी फिर ठीक सामने कैपिटल हिल है, जो यहाँ की संसद है। नीलू जी, बहुत ब्रीफली अपने उसके आपके सेशन के बारे में, ज्ञानेश आ रहे हैं अभी,
हाँ
उसमें बताते चले, वो तो आवाज आ ही रही।
हाँ ठीक है।
चले।
कल हम लोग जब सेशन कर रहे थे तो उसमें हमने ट्रूथ टू पब्लिक लाइफ और जर्नलिज्म के क्या चैलेंजेस हैं इस पर बात कर रहे थे। और बहुत अच्छा लग रहा था बात करके कि कितना खुला हुआ एक रुख है यहाँ पर। जब अपने देश में हम देखते हैं तो भाई आपको ऐसा लग रहा है कि सवाल करना ही मुश्किल हो गया है। लेकिन एक चीज जो मुझे बहुत स्ट्राइक कर रही थी आनंद जी की, पिछले 11 सालों में हमारे देश का क्या हो गया। यहाँ अमेरिका में 6 महीने में जिस तरीके से चीजें बदल रही हैं, वो जो एक पर्सपेक्टिव हमें अपने सेशन में मिला, और ये लगा कि इतना रिग्रेशन जो यहाँ अमेरिकी समाज में हो रहा है, उसके बावजूद भी यहाँ पर लोग सवाल करने बंद नहीं कर रहे हैं। यहाँ की सरकार उनको जेल में नहीं डाल रही है, जैसे हमारे यहाँ यूएपीए का केस हो जाता है या किसी को जेल में डाल दिया गया, यहाँ पे ये चीज अभी नहीं देखने को मिली है। तो ये चीज मुझे लग रहा है कि एक बहुत बड़ा लर्निंग लेसन है, और ये हम लोगों के लिए भी है, क्योंकि यहाँ से जब हम कॉन्फ्रेंस करके जा रहे हैं तो हमारे लिए सबसे बड़ा यही सबक है कि भाई हम जिस तरीके से सवाल कर रहे हैं, उन सवालों की जो श्रृंखला है उसको रोके ना, और इसी तरीके से सवाल करते रहें।
जी जी, थैंक सो मच। और बाकी तो डिटेल आप वीडियो हम लगा ही रहे हैं, उसमें आप बाकी डिटेल तो देख ही रहे हैं। थैंक यू।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, थैंक यू।
Session 2, it is very important and crucial. Truth in public life, journalism, misinformation, and Gandhian ethics in the digital age. I am not going to give you a brief about the topic. That's I leave for the moderator because we do not have much time. I will just quickly introduce the panelist and the moderator, and then we will begin with the session. I have with me here Mr. Ashutosh. He's a renowned journalist and political commentator. He is a respected voice in Indian journalism with decades of experience in political reporting and editorial leadership. He co-founded Satya Hindi, a digital platform known for its fearless independent journalism. Can we have a round of applause? Yeah. I think तालियां बजनी चाहिए, उससे थोड़ा एक encouragement मिलता है। नहीं, मेरे जो नेक्स्ट पैनलिस्ट हैं डॉक्टर मुक्तदर खान, इन 2 दिनों में हमने उन्हें बहुत सवाल पूछते हुए हमने उन्हें सुना है। आज हम उन्हें टॉपिक के बारे में बोलते हुए आज हम उनको सुनेंगे। He is a prominent political scientist, author and commentator at the University of Delaware. He teaches Islam, international relations and political philosophy. His work often bridges Eastern and Western thought, and he frequently draws on Gandhian principle to address contemporary global issues, including democracy, pluralism, and moral leadership. His insights bring a philosophical and ethical depth to the discussion on misinformation and truth in public life. And he also has his own YouTube channel called Han Version, not conversation. It's Han Version. जो अगले हमारे पैनलिस्ट हैं डॉक्टर राकेश पाठक. He's a highly respected journalist with decades of experience in Hindi, print, and electronic and digital media. Known for his sharp political analysis, editorial leadership, and commitment to ethical journalism. He has been a vocal advocate for restoring credibility and truthfulness in Hindi journalism. His voice represents the grounded reality of regional media under the pressure in the digital age. और मैं ये भी कहूँगी कि एक ट्रू गांधीयन एक्टिविस्ट भी हैं, अगर ये नहीं शामिल करूँगी तो। और जो इस पैनल की मॉडरेटर हैं वो भी इक्वली फेमस हैं, Neelu Vyas. I'm talking about Neelu Vyas is a senior journalist with over 25 years of experience in both English and Hindi media. She has worked with leading news networks like CNN, IBN, India Today, and Rajya Sabha TV. Currently active in digital journalism, she runs her own YouTube channel called Jan Managan 24/7 and contributes to various independent platforms too. So Neelu, over to you now.
Thank you, Bushra. I think after the lunch, everybody's fallen asleep. Ashutosh was already running away. We had to like push him into the chair that please be there for the session. This session, I think, is going to be very interesting for the very fact that the kind of topic which we are going to discuss. We are calling it Journalism, Misinformation and Gandhian Ethics in Digital Age. So I won't talk about journalism at the outset because we already know what journalism, the kind of crisis which journalism is facing. So let's just give an overview of the other two topics. First one is the misinformation and the other one is the Gandhian ethics in digital age. I think after discussing these 2 points, you'll already arrive at the conclusion of where our journalism is headed to. So I just want to give you a little overview of the crisis which we are facing. To begin with, India basically is recognized currently, it's facing, in fact, a significant and complex disinformation crisis. We have to accept that, acknowledge this very candidly and honestly. And this kind of a disinformation crisis which we are facing is mainly fueled by the political polarization which is happening in the country, and everybody knows the reasons, and I'm not going to get into that, and because of which the objectivity of journalism is challenged big time. So that is one point. The other one is, I'm just going to throw a few facts which are related to disinformation, and that is we stand amongst the high risk ranking nations as far as disinformation is concerned. There's a World Economic Forum 2024 report which places India at the highest risk of misinformation, disinformation. In fact, there's a study which says that 57% of the population is already exposed to misinformation. So that is one data which we all need to harp on, and I'm sure it will come up in the course of the discussion also. And this is what makes India the biggest market for the social media platforms, and which is why there is an ecosystem which is thriving on this kind of disinformation. Now, just to give you a little few examples which all of us have analyzed, starting from the COVID times, if you look at, there was a corona jihad which everybody talked about. I'm not going to go into that because that was then. But the latest one, which our Chief of Defense Staff, Anil Chauhan, during the Operation Sindoor also acknowledged it publicly during an interview, that 15% of the operational time, when this Operation Sindoor was happening, 15% of the operational time was just spent in countering fake narratives and the fake information which was coming out. And what was happening? The mainstream media was complicit into it. If you would have tuned into any of the mainstream channels at that time, the only headlines which were going, Karachi dhwast ho gaya, Rawalpindi mein aag lag gayi, you know, these were the kind of headlines which were going. So everybody contested that. I'm sure all of us were in those times, we all contested. There was a fact checking which happened with various clips across the TV channels which were aired at the prime time. So fact checking happened at that time. But what is happening with the fact checking also which is taking place? So they are basically overburdened, the fact checking team. Zubair, everybody knows the kind of work which he's doing, but they are also facing a sheer volume of misinformation. So that is also a very big challenge which the fact checking team is facing. Many times they are harassed. So that is one bit. There is a linguistic complexity of there are 22 scheduled languages, and out of which the wetting, the scale of wetting is very limited. Maybe the wetting is happening at the level of Hindi and English, but what about other languages? That is not happening. So the kind of disinformation, the volume of disinformation which is coming to you is, we are not able to handle it. Even the fact-checking team is not able to handle it. So that is one bit as far as the disinformation is concerned. But now coming to
the Gandhian ethics in the digital age. I'm going to be very crisp, and then I'll call upon the guests. Now, why are we saying that there should be Gandhian ethics in the digital age? We should not forget that we are in an AI age where artificial intelligence is capturing everything. Now, just to give you we are expecting that there should be non-violence as far as the AI is concerned. We should be following the principles of truth as far as AI is concerned. But look at the reality. Is it really happening? Not at all. Just to give you a latest example of what happened, there was a latest video, the AI video of Prime Minister Modi's mother, where she was getting up and Prime Minister was dreaming, and he was dreaming that apparently the mother is reminding of, you know, all the misdeeds which Prime Minister Modi is doing, and that became a center of controversy. So that was one bit. Then we have various deep fake videos of Prime Minister Modi being called the vote chore. That is also quite viral on the social media. Then it's just not a BJP or Congress. In fact, both parties are using this AI tool very extensively, and which is why the challenge is that, you know, how do you arrive at what is an ethical AI? So that is one challenge which I think we are facing, and I hope we can answer those questions. Then another example of how we are using AI videos, of the deepfake videos of deceased leaders, the leaders who are not living. Say, for example, leaders like Karunanidhi, Jayalalitha, their videos are used, their AI videos, their deepfakes are being used to evoke nostalgia amongst the voters. Now, have you taken consent from their families or from their parties that should you be using those videos of Jayalalitha and maybe Karunanidhi? Nobody is talking about that ethical element. If the consent is absent and you're using those videos, why? Because electorally it suits you and you are evoking a nostalgia. So these are few things. And what has the government done? Government in September 2025, they launched an AI governance framework where they are labeling the AI videos, and they are also coming up with safety tools. But how far it's going to be implemented, to what scale, we do not know. So the challenges are immense, and I'll not talk about what journalism is, because I think we've discussed this over the last 1.5 days. So I'll throw the floor open now to my guests, and I'll call upon Dr. Muqtadar Khan now to come and say a few words about this topic. No. I think each speaker is supposed to be speaking for 15 minutes. I know you wanted to run away. I won't let you do that. No. हाँ तो आप भी 15 मिनट बोलेंगे.
Well, Assalamu alaikum and namaste to all of you. I'm very honored to be in the company of people here who I see that they are, every day that they speak in search of truth, they are demonstrating tremendous amount of courage. And I think, so I feel quite fortunate and blessed to be in your company. And so thank you very much for just being. You know, Ashutosh, Sheetal Saab, I listen to you all so frequently, and I'm amazed at how every day you show so much courage. I want to share a video of a superstar from India, and just listen to her.
The founders, everyone wanted them to win, right? And they said they're fighting for the, they're fighting. They had their life in a game. How is that going to just? They used all the tricks possible to win the war that they were supposed to win. And yet they justified everything. Krishna के साथ थे और सब कुछ क्या हो रहा है और वो जीत भी गए और वो they remain the good guys. How do you do that? When you set the narrative, when you're in control of the story, then you can do that. And I come back. That's where the media comes in. That's where all of us come in. This is we're shaping the narrative for our country. the founders.
I was quite stunned when I listened to her. First of all, she starts with the critique of Mahabharata and the Pandavas. And to me, that was okay, that's very gutsy. But what was interesting is that she critiques the Pandavas and then justifies what they did because they won. They indulged in lying and then they won. They used all kinds of tricks and they won. And that is what we have to do now, and that is what we are going to do. And this is the battle of narratives. Truth is irrelevant. It's not just that she's rejecting truth to advocate for a winning narrative. That's what she wants, a winning narrative. But she's also saying that being good does not matter. There is no connection between good and win. I find it very bizarre as to how she's able to critique the Pandavas and Mahabharata and get away with it, because she has this summary is that they are Machiavellian. And Krishna is also Machiavellian, but all of this is justified because in the end, the victory justifies the means. And to me, that is exactly true of all societies today, that we live in a post-truth society. We live in post-truth societies. If you remember that, I forgot her name, the woman who was the campaign manager of Donald Trump, who said we have alternative facts.
Yeah.
This was in 2017 or 18.
Yeah.
So truth didn't matter. We have alternative facts. How can there be alternative facts? And so it's about constructing truth in a way in which your truth wins over somebody else's truth. This is the postmodern era. This is the postmodern era that we are already seeing. And in some parts of the society, postmodernity has taken over. And I think the most pronounced arena of postmodern victory is the media, that we have a narrative that wins. But I want to talk a little bit broader. I will leave to the journalists to talk about the role and ethics of journalism. But I want to talk about truth in public life, broadly speaking. I once met a social scientist in Sweden on a train, and we started talking, and I asked her what your research is, and she said, I study truth in government. I said, oh, you write about science fiction. So she was like amused. She said, no, I don't live in America. I live in Sweden, and we have truth in our government. We trust our government. So what she did was she was doing a survey of trust. And the trust in the government depended on how truthful they thought their government was. And I said, what is that? She says, if it is 80, I'll start getting worried. It is above 80%. There is so much trust. It doesn't matter which party is in power. There is so much trust in the government. And you must understand that without truth in public life, you can't make good public policy. You can't make effective and successful public policy. So for example, let us say that you have only two industries in your country. You have the insurance industry and you have the car industry. The car industry is making losses. The insurance industry is making profit. As a good government, you will subsidize the car industry and you will tax the insurance industry. As simple as that, right? But if the insurance companies are lying in their tax returns, they are hiding what profit they are making, you will never be able to make good public policy. So it just goes on and on. So there has to be truth in public life, whether it is in the government, whether it is in the media, whether it is in the corporate sector, etc. Otherwise, the societies will keep making errors. They keep making errors. Every time I go with my mother to the doctor, my mother has this Indian tendency that you exaggerate the crisis in the hope that the person will respond to the crisis. Because if you underplay the crisis, the person will not react. So like, for example, if she wants me to take her to the doctor, that very day she will exaggerate her pain. I said, Mom, I will take you whether it is 3 on 10 or 8 on 10. But you don't have to tell me it is 8 on 10 when it's 3 on 10, because the doctor will give you the medicine for 8 and that will affect you more. So there's this element of truth has to be part of our culture and our society, and I find that missing. While I was thinking about talking about this presentation, I realized that I had actually written this speech that I want to give today 22 years ago for a magazine called Outlook India. And in that magazine, I wrote an article saying, Islam, Hinduism, and truth. And I talked about Yudhishthir and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And I got blasted from both sides. Muslims attacked me and Hindus attacked me. And I said, this is to me very interesting, because if you ask people to describe the single most important characteristics of Yudhishthir, they would say he was Dharmaraj, he always spoke the truth. Yudhishthir was known for speaking the truth, so much so that when he lied to Dronacharya, his teacher, that Aswathama is dead, he slowly whispered the elephant. Apparently, his chariot for the first time touched ground. Until that, he did not walk on earth. He was walking in air because he was truthful. And then I said, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was considered Al-Amin, the truthful. He never lied. He stood in front of the people of Mecca and said, if I told you that there is an enemy army on the other side of the mountain, will you believe me? And they said, yes. And he said, why will you believe me? He said, because you have never lied to us. He said, then why don't you believe me when I say that there is only one God? So I wrote this piece saying that, Indian societies are very spiritual and religious. Secularizing them in order to bring them together may not work. Let's focus on common religious values that we have. And between Islam and Hinduism, truth is so valued. So we should come together on truth. Well, nobody liked it. Anyway, but to me that matters. Truth in public life matters. I'm going to talk about 5 arenas very broadly, which I think it matters. One of the best senators we have had in the US was Patrick Moynihan, who was also the US ambassador to India, by the way. There was a time when we used to have people of Patrick Moynihan's stature who were both diplomats and senators. But one of the things that Patrick Moynihan worked on was secrecy and transparency in democratic governance. And he clearly made the argument, the more secrets you have, the less liberal democracy you are. There should be minimum secrecy in governance. You have to be open. You have to be truthful for your people. That is the point of having a government which is accountable to its people. Would you lie to the people who you serve? So this is an important part. I think you cannot have a democracy and you will not have a democratic society if truth is not one of the major forces in both civil society as well as in government policies. So there are 5 areas that I want to touch upon because I have only 15 minutes. If I had 35, I would have touched upon more. One thing I want to talk about is institutional integrity as truth in public life. The second is hypocrisy in public policy. The third is government transparency and secrecy. The fourth is corporate integrity. And fifth is honesty, which is personal. So personal honesty and integrity, and I'm putting that fifth. So what is institutional integrity? Institutional integrity is, someone invoked the Bhagavad Gita today, is just as each individual is mandated to fulfill their kartavya, so should institutions. Take the case of the Election Commission of India. Do you think that the Election Commission of India is fulfilling its duties with integrity today? That's the question, right? Is this particular government agency fulfilling? Look at ICE in the United States. Is it fulfilling its mandate and its job with integrity and with truthfulness? No. The moment you find institutions of democracy fulfilling Fulfilling or not fulfilling is another thing. And it's not about the results, it's about how you achieve the results. For those of us who believe in God, we believe that outcomes are in the hand of God. So if God is going to determine who wins the game, then what is he judging you about? He's only judging in how you play the game. I'm looking at Bushra because we were having a conversation about this just before. How you win the game doesn't matter whether you win or lose. If you cheat, you are a loser. As simple as that. If you cheat, you are a loser.
Yeah.
So institutional integrity is very important. You have to develop the culture of institutional integrity. And it is not disappeared. There's a guy called Sarkozy who's going to jail today for 5 years, the former president of France, because some institutions still maintain some integrity. Now, it could be that they are politically motivated, but it worked in that particular case. And that is a fundamentally important part is to go. So as we talk about, especially with vote chori and this part, one thing that we are going to be distracted by the sexy part, which is trying to say, okay, this current government cheated and therefore it is in power, it does not deserve to be in power. But what we also need to ask is, it's not just that the opposition is losing, it's also the country is losing because the institutions which are supposed to safeguard democracy are the very institutions which are subverting democracy. Police chor hai. That's the problem, isn't it? It's not that some thieves are being caught and some are not. The problem is that police chor hai. The second element that I want to talk about is hypocrisy and public policy. Hypocrisy is easy to accuse people of hypocrisy, and it's also very difficult not to be hypocritical. I can stand here and give a big lecture on truth, and then my wife might pop a question, and I'm faced with the reality of should I answer that question fully. Usually, no matter how you answer, you're in trouble. Once a question is popped, you are in trouble. And in my case, all three options don't work. Whether I answer yes or no or don't answer, I'm in trouble. But the point I'm trying to say is it's very difficult to live a non-hypocritical life. But hypocrisy in public policy is poisonous, as opposed to private life. If you are hypocritical in your private life, your soul will slowly die. But if you are hypocritical in public life, your democracy will die. And that is the soul of your society. So let me give you an example. Our honorable Prime Minister went to Russia and told Putin, this is not an era of war. And then he went to war with Operation Sindoor. The war is not over. It's just a pause. So this is an era of continuous war, isn't it? Not only that, he did not say that even once to Netanyahu, that this is not an era of war, this is not an era of genocide. And what I'm surprised is, no one asks him that. I have yet to see anybody, no politician, nobody saying, how come you don't tell Netanyahu this is not an era of war? It started war with 7 countries. That is a public policy related hypocrisy. It makes words and values meaningless. I'm just giving one example. I can give you many examples of this hypocrisy in public policy, even especially with our own country. The United States is probably a champion at this. So the government transparency and secrecy is another problem. People don't understand keeping secrets while you are in government is clearly lying in public. It's an absence of truth. Secrecy is not like saying this is national security. I'm going to give, in this particular case, 2 examples which tells you as to how we have normalized moral depravity in government. So, for example, in 23-24, the Indian government was accused of transnational repression, trying to kill people in Canada, in the US, and a lot of people were killed in India. When they speak in English, they deny this. They not only deny any responsibility for Nijjar's murder and the attempted murder of Panno, but they also say this is not our policy. And then the message is also sent to the public that ghar mein ghus ke marenge, and we did it.
Actually.
You know, the ghar mein ghus ke marenge is this. It is not about war. It's not Operation Sindoor, which is ghar mein ghus ke marenge. Ghar ke ghus mein marenge is about all those people who have died, including Nijjar and others who are being killed by the Indian government, and they're taking pride in it, and the public is quite proud of it. I've got into a lot of debates with a lot of people from India who say, how is this different from Bin Laden's killing? I said, if you have not killed, why are we talking about it? You can make this analogy only first if you tell me you killed Nijjar, then we will do the comparison. If you have not done it, then there's no comparison at all. So I said, okay, I know you don't want to acknowledge it. So let me assume that you killed him. The only difference is that we release photographs and announce that we did it, and you didn't. When you deny something, it's because you're ashamed of it. And that is also an absence of truth in public policy. There is no transparency. And it doesn't work also. See, there's a problem in how it works. Let's take this case of jets lost in Operation Sindoor.
Yeah.
It is so bizarre. If you listen to Chauhan, what he said in Singapore was very clear that we lost, but not that many.
Yeah.
And if the first press conference was said that there is wins and losses, I have not heard an army person say straight up that we did not lose a single jet.
Yeah.
Not only that, except for the chief, now I don't know what happened to him, he suddenly claims that we've shot down 5 Pakistani jets, but no army person has denied this specifically. That I don't understand what the point. The whole world knows this. At least one Rafale has been confirmed by Rafale Jets itself. So the point really is that this lack of transparency, this secrecy, really undermines the credibility of the government rather than suppressing it or enforcing it. It is quite a useless, in fact, counterproductive policy. And I think we need to really wonder what that is all about. The fourth policy that I want to talk about is corporate integrity. This is if the government maintains integrity, the other institutions will also do that. If the government is a lying government, then so will the corporate and so will the civil society be full of liars. Take this case that happened just 2 days ago. It's not clear whether TCS fired 12,000 or 80,000 people. It is to me quite shocking as to how they can. I can understand whether it's 12,000 or 14,000 or 10,000, that is the dispute. But you are not able to confirm whether you fired 80,000 people or 12,000. And if they indeed have fired 80,000, it's important that everybody knows that, because people who are trying to take entrance exams to become engineers may decide not to because there are no jobs in the future in computer science industries, etc. The government will have to make new policies. If they hide that data and in order to maintain their stock price, which is what it is all about, then it will lead to bad policies by the government, but also bad choices by citizens of the country too. And I think that can be very, very detrimental. The other one is the Hindenburg controversy. It exposed everybody as corrupt. The government is corrupt, the corporations are corrupt, and the institutions which are supposed to investigate them, including SEBI, everybody is, there's no way to describe this in English except in Hindi. Ek hammam mein sare nange. That's the best way to describe it. It's like shocking. And the worst part is that the public is not shocked. The public should have been completely outraged. Rather than that, they are taking this as a matter of national pride and defending corrupt people. So to me, this part of corporate integrity is extremely important because it's a reflection of both the society and the government. If you have a government of liars, if you have a government society of liars, your institutions, whether they're corporate or government, will be lying. You know, in the last 20 years, twice I have forgotten my laptop in my class. And I work late at night. So at 2 or 1 o'clock, I look for my laptop and I realize, oh no, I forgot. And I've gone back and I found them. Doesn't mean there's no crime in the US, but there's none in my university. We never check CVs in this country. Do you know that? Hardly ever check CVs. I don't have my degree. I don't have my PhD degree because I went off on vacation and missed my graduation. And I'm a full professor. I do have one, but no one has challenged me. No one has asked me. The university is not. They took my word when I said I graduated in 2000 from Georgetown, because they don't understand why I would lie about that. They do not understand why I would lie about that. And yes, there is lots of lying. We have a president who lies every day, but that doesn't mean that we have normalized lying. We fact check him every day. And my final example is that of personal integrity. So truth has many forms. It's not just about stating false facts. You know, truth is not, it's not just a, see, so for example, when Mahatma Gandhi talks about satyagraha, it's a struggle to speak the truth, but it's also a struggle to live the truth. So it's not just a spoken thing to speak and lie. Sometimes you can be silent and be truthful, and sometimes you can be silent and you're a liar. So the example that I want to give is of our honorable Prime Minister in the election in 2024 said, if Congress would win elections, then they will take your Mangal Sutras and give it to Muslims. They have Mangal Sutras. Muslims also wear, you know, they wear the Kali pot or something in India. But to me, what was interesting was that, I mean, this is a country of Vishwa Gurus, right? So all the Vishwa Gurus are sitting and listening to this talk. Didn't they know at that time that there was a Congress government in Karnataka and there was a Congress government in Telangana and nobody had lost their Mangal Sutras? And no apology by anybody. To me, that shows that there's something poisonous and something very unhealthy in the public sphere, that these things can happen. To me, that is the absence of truth. That is the absence of what we call as Gandhian virtues, etc. We should not have to go to Gandhi to tell people that truth matters. I think our humanity depends on truth. If we lose truth, we lose our humanity. Thank you.
Doing it for a period, maybe a month, maybe if it's a long sustainable campaign, it can go on for 2 months, 3 months, but there comes a time when the shelf life of that story is over. So that is also another very big challenge, that all the truths are buried in a sealed envelope, or somehow they will find ways and means to circumvent the truth and come up with an alternative narrative. This is exactly what you mentioned, Dr. Khan, and this is the challenge. I don't know whether we can resort to the Gandhian principles for that, but as you said, that if we lose the truth, we lose the humanity. But in the current scheme of things, again, are people seeding truth with lies? Because people say that in the world of politics, there's nothing like truth or lies. It's just facts. It's a gray world. There's nothing black or white. So I really don't know. I mean, how do you continue with this pursuit of truth? It's like a big ocean of lies where truth looks like a small pebble which goes into the ocean and it gets lost. So I'm really at pains to find out the answer for this, but then I'll call upon Ashutosh now to speak. Yeah.
Who is the founder of Satya?
Yeah, Satya Hindi.
नमस्कार। महाभारत से आपने शुरू किया, उसमें एक बहुत गजब की चीज है, लेकिन वो सबसे अंत में बताऊंगा मैं, टू कीप द सस्पेंस अलाइव। I need 3 volunteers. I have one puzzle, and I want all 3 to solve that puzzle. Can anyone raise their hands? 3 volunteers. 1, 2. Who's the third one? Third. So starting from there. Yes. Please. The puzzle is इस्लामाबाद को कैसे कैप्चर किया भारत ने?
Yeah.
Don't laugh. Please answer.
अपने दिमाग आपके विचार लगा पेपर पे इस्लामाबाद लिख के
कैप्चर कर लिया। तो इस्लामाबाद कैप्चर हुआ या कैप्चर नहीं हुआ? No.
You wanted to say, said it.
I thought that we are here the best of brains in this room, and they can solve this puzzle. So you all failed. The issue is not that whether Islamabad was captured or not. The issue is why this question became a part of the mainstream television channels. So the puzzle is not that who captured Islamabad and how it was captured, but why this story became the headline that point of the time when country was fighting a war with Pakistan. That we have to understand. And to understand that, I have a small theory which I'm working on it. Muqtadar Khan Saab knows it very well because we have talked about it. That's a part of my book. And 2 books I've already written on it. The third will be coming by probably the next year. Trilogy. First of all, we have to understand the nature of Indian state, the change which has occurred after 2014. Unless you understand that, unless you try to pinpoint, you will not be able to understand what is happening in the country and how it is happening and who is doing this and what is the purpose behind it. And in my opinion, Khan Saab and others can differ with me, that what India is witnessing is basically the march of an ideological state. March of an ideological state. And when I say the march of an ideological state, that means still India is not captured by an ideology, but we are still witnessing that it's moving in that direction. And if it is moving in that direction, there is a serious danger that the one day this country can also turn into what Hitler's Germany turned after 1934, or what Russia and the Soviet Union turned in 1917, or what the Mussolini's Italy turned long back before Hitler became what Hitler was. Fortunately, we haven't reached that position. So we have to understand what is the march of an ideological state. And I know because this subject, I'm very passionate about it, and at least I'll take an hour and a half to describe and to make people understand. But today I will be talking about only one aspect of it. What I have done it to make people understand that what is this march of an ideological state. I have split it into the 6 plus 1 elements. Very quickly, I'll talk about the 5, then I'll explain the 6th one. The first is, we have to understand that when I'm talking about the march of an ideological state, that means there is a very full-fledged ideology. Ideology means what? It's a system of ideas with a cosmic purpose to create a future. We have a problem with the past, so you disrupt your present. Hindu Rashtra is the future. That's what they're working on. They define history. So ideology is something which was not the part of Indian state before 2014. The second thing is, in 2014, when the power transferred from Manmohan Singh to Modi, it wasn't an ordinary transfer of power, in my opinion, and I compare it with 1947, 15th August, that when the Britishers passed on the governance, it was an entirely different word altogether. So it's not like a normal transfer of power between Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Manmohan Singh. It is not a normal transfer of power between Indira Gandhi and Morarji Desai. It was a very, very different transfer of powers. The concerns, issues, rights, duties of Manmohan Singh governments and the rights, concern, duties of Modi governments is entirely different. It's like 1947, when the Britishers passed on the power to Indians. Britishers' concerns were different, the issues were different, the rights were different, and about when India took over, Jawaharlal Nehru became the prime minister, his things were very different. So that is point number 2. The point number 3, since because of the ideological pursuits, because of the change of nature of the government, the nature of a state has also changed. So today we are frightened to see, "Arey, ye kya ho raha? Kaise kaise ho? ED aise kyun kar rahi hai?" Because the nature of a state has changed. The fourth point, Indian state is in a state of continuous war. We don't realize this. हमने पहले ये भाषण कभी सुने नहीं था कि आप तो पाकिस्तानी हो, आप तो देशद्रोही हो, आप तो चाइना हो, आप तो गद्दार हो, आप देश के नाम पे कलंक हो, and how dare you can criticize India. And I'm not joking. In Ahmedabad 2023, Mr. Mohan Bhagwat has said India, the Hindus are in a state of war for the last 1200 years, and Hindus cannot afford to lose this war. So for them, it's a war. Since the tools of war have changed because the nature of society has changed, so they are not using the traditional tools of war. They are using the different other tools of war. That's the point number 4. Fifth, I think we have to understand it's nothing less than a revolution. If what the Soviet Union had faced in 1917, it was a revolution. This is also a kind of revolution. And I define revolution by 3 yardsticks. The first is disconnectedness from the past, disruption in the present, and the deconstruction of the future. 2014 के पहले का जो पूरा हिंदुस्तान के इतिहास है, this government doesn't want to associate and relate with that. Total disconnect. Because unless you disconnect yourself from the past, how will you reconstruct the future? Disruption, we all know what's happening around. And what about the future, Hindu Rashtra? So anybody who believes that this government and these people, they believe in the Indian democracy and the constitution, either he's lying or he's ignorant and he doesn't know what is happening around. The point number 6, which I want to elaborate today, is what is happening around. And that's where, why this story comes in, Islamabad को capture कर लिया. Islamabad को क्यों capture किया गया? क्यों headline बनी? The answer to that puzzle and the riddle lies in my 6th element. And the 6th element is the reconstruction of the collective minds. What we are witnessing today is there is a factory out there whose job is to reconstruct our mind. We have to forget, we have to de-learn to relearn. So आपके दिमाग को लगातार ब्रेन वॉश किया जा रहा है. ये जो reconstruction of the collective mind है, because an ideology cannot succeed without the exemplary use of propaganda. We had never witnessed this kind of propaganda. India, in fact, had never witnessed this kind of propaganda ever since its independence. आपने पहले सुना था कि बीजेपी का आईटी सेल, किसी ने सुना था? किसी ने सुना था कि आप लोग तो नैरेटिव चलाते हैं? किसी ने सुना था कि आप लोग एजेंडा चलाते हैं? हमने तो नहीं सुना था. हमने 2014 के बाद सडनली कहा, आश्चर्य, आप तो एजेंडा चलाते हो हमारे सरकार के खिलाफ. एजेंडा चलाते हैं? 2014 के पहले भी एजेंडा चलाते थे. नहीं, आप लोग तो जर्नलिज्म थोड़ी कर, आप तो एजेंडा चलाते हैं. Why suddenly we see that several WhatsApp groups are working together? And the Mr. Amit Shah says, in 5 minutes, I can reach to crores and crores of people because their network is so well. And one of the fundamental principles of democracy is, if you want your revolution to succeed, if you want to achieve your utopia, if you really want to reach to the Hindu Rashtra, what you have to do, you have to prepare the whole collective mind of the population to achieve that goal. And that's what exactly is happening today. So when we look around, we see this media. अरे ऐसे कैसे हो रहा? ये कौन सा मीडिया आ गया? ये अर्नब गोस्वामी तो ऐसा कभी नहीं था, ये कैसा क्यों बातें कर रहा है? What's happening in the media today? Because forget about the media, forget about other institution. Today we are aghast to see this. अरे ये institution तो कैसे behave कर रहे हैं? Look at Mr. Ganesh Kumar. Why is behaving like this? Why Mr. D.Y. Chandrachud is behaving like this? Why somebody else is behaving like this? Please understand this. In an ideological state, anybody or everybody who doesn't subscribe to that ideology is either marginalized or annihilated. They will not be entertained or engaged, because the fundamental of ideology is either you are with me or with us. And if you are with me, fine, every crime is pardoned. If you are with them, you are an enemy, not only of ideology, but also to the cosmic goal which we have set for ourselves. ये जो है कि इसलिए इस regime के तहत ना तो judiciary independent हो सकती है, ना media independent हो सकता है, ना election commission independent हो सकता है, ना CAG independent हो सकता है, and ना तो opposition independent हो सकते हैं, also under opposition of their like. So the nature of the media which we have seen is so drastically changed, because the nature of the media, because this media in its original form would not have survived. It is surviving up to a certain extent because they are serving the purpose of that ideology. They are also a participant into the creation of the utopia which is called Hindu Rashtra. So on a daily basis, what you hear and what you learn, कि गवर्नमेंट बहुत अच्छा काम कर रही है, प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी बहुत शानदार काम कर रहे हैं, सारी प्रॉब्लम अपोजिशन की वजह से, एंड हाउ डेयर यू क्वेश्चन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन? आप पुलिस पे सवाल खड़े कर रहे हैं, आप प्रधानमंत्री से सवाल पूछते हैं, आप आर्मी से सवाल पूछते हैं, आप देश के साथ हैं या पाकिस्तान के साथ? ये नैरेटिव रोज हमारे मीडिया में बनाया जाता है. ये जो नैरेटिव ये क्यों बनाया जा रहा है? Because all of them are a passenger in a train which is going towards Hindu Rashtra. A few of them are quite convinced about that ideology. They have internalized that ideology and they are doing it with a messianic purpose. A few of them are opportunists of the first order. They know if we do something like this, their career will go. And many of our friends are doing something like this. So जो मीडिया का जो स्वरूप हमारे सामने भी दिखाई पड़ रहा है, वो मीडिया का एक ही काम है, हिंदू राष्ट्र बनाने के लिए इस देश के लोगों का माइंडसेट बदलना. वो जो आईटी सेल कर रहा है, वो व्हाट्सएप के जरिए, इंस्टाग्राम के जरिए, फेसबुक के जरिए, ट्विटर के जरिए, वो लगातार आपके दिमाग को कंस्ट्रक्ट कर रहा है. Continuously that work is going on. And I can tell you, a friend of mine is working in this. His single line brief, कोलंबिया में अगर सांप मर जाए तो उसके लिए भी राहुल गांधी जिम्मेदार है. The serious thing is that many of our liberal left friends who claim to be progressive, they are also convinced, they have been made convinced by the ideology that Rahul Gandhi is the biggest fool moving around in this world. They don't want to say a word of praise for Rahul Gandhi. And that's the power of propaganda. The power of propaganda is that you also start speaking the language which they want you to speak. They are changing not only your mind, but they're also changing your personality. And it is this which has made almost 80 to 90% of India's topmost intellectuals, topmost journalists, convince them that opposition in India is good for nothing. They are not doing anything. They have no narrative. ये जो खेल चल रहा है ना, इसको समझने की जरूरत है. इसलिए हिंदुस्तान का मीडिया इंडिपेंडेंट हो ही नहीं सकता. हिंदुस्तान की जुडिशरी इंडिपेंडेंट हो ही नहीं सकती. जिस दिन इंडिपेंडेंट होने की कोशिश करेगी, सोवियत संघ की तरीके से या तो फाइव स्क्वाड के सामने खत्म कर दिया जाएगा या फिर सर्वाइव नहीं करेगा. कोई ऑप्शन नहीं. आपको प्रणय रॉय बना दिया जाएगा. आपके हाथ से कंपनी छीन ली जाएगी. आप किस मुकाबले में? And I'll use two of the Marxist thinkers, Antonio Gramsci and Althusser. And because they had a practical experience working in an ideological state, and that's what Antonio Gramsci says. He came out with theory of hegemony. Yeah, when the ideology captures a power, then this the process of hegemonization starts through within the Western framework, church, schools, press,
Absolutely.
media. Other than the state, the repressive state, all these institutions, they are working in that directions all the time. And their job is to keep the hegemony of the ruling elites, other ruling regime. That's what the Gramsci was at the age of 34. He was the chief of the Communist Party in Italy. And he was put in jail for 10 years. And you know what the lawyer said? He said, I have to stop his mind from working. But they couldn't. Because he wrote that diary, which is a very famous diary, in jail. The other was Althusser. He says that the two kinds of, when the state captures power, that the two kinds of apparatus, one is this repressive state apparatus, another is ideological state apparatus. And the state apparatus is this, the repressive state apparatus is police, court, minister, all kinds of things, formal structure. The ideological state apparatus is press, church, NGOs, जितने इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर में काम करने वाले लोग हैं, और उनका एक ही काम है, जो सरकार के लिए एक बहुत ही फर्टाइल ग्राउंड तैयार करना, ताकि वो सरकार के खिलाफ आवाज न कर सके. तो आज जो मैं ये कहना चाह रहा हूं कि जो इस्लामाबाद पे कब्जा क्यों हुआ, मेरे पास कोई इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं है, लेकिन मैं 100% जानता हूं कि उस वॉर में, उस पर्टिकुलर टाइम पीरियड में कुछ ऐसा बहुत बड़ा हो गया था कि अगर वो पब्लिक के सामने आ जाता तो फिर सरकार की बहुत बुरी हालत होती. इसलिए स्टोरी को मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन के जरिए हेडलाइंस क्रिएट कर दिया गया, बन गया. एंड लास्ट बट नॉट द लीस्ट, महाभारत का जिक्र आपने हमारे खान साहब ने किया था. खान साहब ये मत भूलिएगा, महाभारत और रामायण में राम ने जो बाली का वध किया है वो धोखे से किया है, छुप के किया था. और जो कर्ण का वध, भीष्म पितामह का वध, द्रोणाचार्य का वध भी धोखे से ही हुआ था. ये जो गवर्नमेंट है, ये अपने इंस्पिरेशन पॉलिटिक्स और स्टेट क्राफ्ट की वहां से लेती है. जंग में सब कुछ जायज है, आप धर्म के साथ हो या धर्म के साथ नहीं हो. दुर्भाग्य की बात क्या है कि जब अनुशासन पर्व में, जब भीष्म पितामह सरसैया में पड़े हुए थे, युद्ध खत्म हो चुका था, और उसके बाद युधिष्ठिर, कृष्ण कहते हैं, क्योंकि युधिष्ठिर के दिमाग में कुछ कंफ्यूजन था, आप जाके भीष्म से बात करिए. तो भीष्म कहते हैं, वो राजनीति की बात करते हैं, भीष्म कहते हैं अगर राजा नालायक हो जाए तो जनता को उसे हटा देना चाहिए. थैंक यू.
Excellent facts and the speech put forward by Ashutosh. And I was just wondering, since we are talking about truth, we are going through a period where the vice president of the country overnight, just in a few hours, is asked to resign. And the truth behind it is stacked in a cupboard. Every truth during this government's regime is stacked in a cupboard. It is wrapped around in a mystery which should never be unraveled. That's what the people of the country are told. The kids in the school are told, the students in the colleges are told not to unravel the truth. Just to give you a little example, and then I'll call Rakesh ji. Again, to give you an example, because every day I'm dealing with the kids, my kids are in the teenage. And what are we asked? In the political science class, my daughter asks me that, Mama, the vice president elections were not due. Why did we have a vice president election? What is the answer you give to your daughter? Do you have answers for that? How do you answer that question? Except to accept it, that look, this is the reality. Why did the vice president resign? Don't ask. Keep your mouth shut. We just move on. So that's how it is. Since we are discussing truth in public life, truth in Modi's times is only supposed to be put in a cupboard, stacked in a cupboard, wrapped in a mystery, and don't unravel it. Okay, Rakeshji, floor for you.
Thank you. नमस्कार। आज का दिन बड़े अद्भुत संयोगों से जुड़ा हुआ है। देखिए, आज 2 अक्टूबर है, हमारे राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी की जयंती है, विजयादशमी है, दशहरा, असत्य पर सत्य की विजय का दिन। और इससे भी अद्भुत संयोग ये है कि आज एक ऐसे संगठन की स्थापना का 100वां वर्ष है, जिस संगठन को अपने 100 साल लंबे इतिहास में जिन चीजों को जाना जाता है, उसकी अंतिम परिणति महात्मा गांधी की हत्या थी। क्या ही अद्भुत संयोग है कि जो व्यक्ति सत्य और अहिंसा के लिए इस धरती पर 1000 साल के इतिहास में सबसे बड़ा महापुरुष माना गया, उसे हिंसा के जरिए ही रास्ते से हटाया गया। वैसे भी महात्मा गांधी का जीवन बहुत तरीके के संयोगों दुर्योगों से भरा हुआ है, उस पर हम आगे संक्षेप में बात करेंगे। मैं अपनी पूरी बात, जो आज का हमारा विषय है, सार्वजनिक जीवन में सच, मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन यानी झूठी सूचनाएं, और इस डिजिटल एज में गांधी जी के उसूल। कितनी मजेदार बात है कि जो देश अपने राष्ट्रीय आदर्श वाक्य के रूप में मुंडक उपनिषद के सत्यमेव जयते को रखता है, उस देश में आज की तारीख में सत्य के लिए कोई जगह बची नहीं। कितनी अद्भुत बात है कि जिस देश के शास्त्रों में कहा गया हो, सत्यम ब्रूयात प्रियम ब्रूयात न ब्रूयात सत्यम अप्रियम प्रियम च नानृतम एष धर्मा सनातन। प्रिय बोलो, सत्य बोलो, प्रिय बोलो, प्रिय बोलो, लेकिन ऐसा सत्य मत बोलो जो अप्रिय हो। यही सनातन धर्म है। और उसी देश में आज सच के लिए कहीं किसी खो में भी जगह नहीं बची है। हम गांधी के हवाले से कल से बातचीत कर रहे हैं। गांधी का सच भी भगवान महावीर स्वामी से लिया गया था। बापू कहा करते थे, वे महावीर स्वामी के अनेकांतवाद में विश्वास करते हैं। यानी आप सच को जिस कोण से देख रहे हैं, आपका सच वो हो सकता है। मैं यहाँ इस वक्त जिस पोडियम पर खड़ा हूं, मेरे दाहिनी ओर से जो लोग देख रहे हैं, उनका सच ये होगा कि मेरी इस तरफ की मूछ ऐसी है। दूसरी तरफ से जो लोग देख रहे हैं, उनको मेरे चश्मे का ये एंगल दिखाई दे रहा होगा। इसलिए गांधी इस बात के आग्रही दुराग्रही नहीं है कि जिस कोण से मैं सच को देख रहा हूं वही अंतिम सत्य है। लेकिन धीरे धीरे हम वहां पहुंच गए जहां सच के साथ खड़े रहने वाले लोगों को सीने पर गाली खानी पड़ी, गोली खानी पड़ी। गांधी के रास्ते पर चलने वाले मार्टिन लूथर किंग, जिनकी धरती पर हम खड़े हैं, उन्हें भी इसका यही प्रतिसाद मिला। सच के साथ पहले भी जितने लोग खड़े थे उतने आज भी खड़े हैं, लेकिन सच के खिलाफ खड़े रहने वालों की संख्या धीरे धीरे कालक्रम में बढ़ती चली जा रही है। यही वजह है कि आज की तारीख में हम अपने देश से लेकर दुनिया के हर कोने में देखेंगे तो इस वक्त झूठ का बोलबाला है, जैसे होड़ लगी हुई है। दुनिया के दरोगा में, विश्व गुरु में कौन कितना ज्यादा झूठ बोल सकता है। गनीमत है कि हम जिस देश में खड़े हैं वहां तो एक अखबार ने बाकायदा एक साल में देश के मुखिया के बोले गए झूठों की फहरिस्त 2 पेज में छाप दी थी। हमारे देश में अभी यह संभव नहीं है, जबकि झूठ की जो गंगोत्री है वो शिखर से ही चली आ रही है। इसलिए सच बोलने वालों के पर खतरा बढ़ता जा रहा है। जितना खतरा पहले था उससे कई कई गुना ज्यादा। उम्मीद फाजली साहब ने लिखा कि आसमानों से फरिश्ते जो उतारे जाएं, आसमानों से फरिश्ते जो उतारे जाएं, वो भी इस दौर में सच बोलें तो मारे जाएं। इसलिए इन कम संख्या में सच बोलने वालों की हिफाजत बहुत जरूरी है और उसकी जिम्मेदारी समाज की है, देश की है। चूंकि बात पत्रकारिता की चल रही है, हमें मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन, फेक न्यूज, उसे हम आगे बातचीत में फेक न्यूज के रूप में ही संबोधित करेंगे। तो गांधी की पत्रकारिता पर भी छोटी मोटी बात कर लेते हैं। जैसा मैंने शुरू में कहा था, गांधी का पूरा जीवन अनूठे संयोगों से भरा पड़ा है। आप देखिए, गांधी अगर राजनेता नहीं होते तो वे महान पत्रकार होते, जो कि वे थे भी, राजनेता होते हुए भी। लेकिन कैसा अद्भुत संयोग है कि गांधी जी ने अपने जीवन में नियमित रूप से अखबार एक पाठक के रूप में लंदन पहुंचने के बाद पढ़ना शुरू किए। जबकि आशुतोष भाई, एक अद्भुत संयोग यह है कि जब वे पढ़ने जा रहे थे विलायत, तो उनके स्कूल में एक विदाई समारोह हुआ था, शायद 12 अगस्त 1888 को। उसकी खबर काठियावाड़ टाइम्स में छपी थी कि बनिया का लड़का विदेश पढ़ने जा रहा है। तो ऐसा व्यक्ति जिसने अपने जीवन में अपनी विदाई की भी खबर शायद नहीं पढ़ी थी अखबार में, वो लंदन पहुंचकर वेजिटेरियन सोसाइटी के अखबार में लेख लिखना शुरू करते हैं। यहां से उनकी पत्रकारिता शुरू होती है। वेजिटेरियन सोसाइटी, वेजिटेरियन ही उसका नाम था। बाद में जब वे दक्षिण अफ्रीका गए तो तीसरे दिन ही ऐसी नौबत आ गई कि उन्हें अपनी काठियावाड़ी पगड़ी के चलते अपमानित होना पड़ा अदालत में। तीसरे ही दिन दक्षिण अफ्रीका में मोहनदास करमचंद गांधी ने एक लेटर टू एडिटर लिख दिया, जो अखबार में अगले दिन छपा। औपचारिक रूप से मोहनदास करमचंद गांधी की पत्रकारिता की शुरुआत इस संपादक के नाम पत्र को मान सकते हैं। उसके बाद दादा भाई नौरोजी ने इंडियन अखबार निकाला लंदन से, तो साउथ अफ्रीका में उन्हें अपना रिपोर्टर, करस्पॉन्डेंट नियुक्त किया। बाद में गांधी जी ने वहां अखबार निकाले, यहां भी उन्होंने निकाला यंग इंडिया, नवजीवन, हरिजन सेवक, हरिजन। लंबी फहरिस्त है उनकी पत्रकारिता के कामकाज की। और वे आजाद भारत से, आजादी मिलने से पहले के ऐसे पहले पत्रकार थे जिन्हें अपनी पत्रकारिता के लिए राजद्रोह में सजा हुई थी। यंग इंडिया में उन्होंने 2 लेख लिखे थे जिसके लिए ब्रिटिश अदालत ने उन्हें सजा दी थी। यद्यपि वे जेल नहीं गए, उसके लिए खुद ब्रिटिश मजिस्ट्रेट ने खड़े होकर उन्हें सल्यूट किया और कहा कि मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता इससे आगे, मेरी मजबूरी है कि मेरे ब्रिटिश कानून में ये प्रावधान है कि मुझे आपको सजा देना मजबूरी है मेरी, वरना मैं आपको ये सजा भी नहीं देता। ऐसे गांधी के देश में पत्रकारिता अब वहां पहुंच गई है जिसकी हम बातचीत आज करना चाहते हैं। फेक न्यूज का ऐसा सैलाब आ गया है कि असली खबर, सच्ची खबर ढूंढना पड़ती है। जब तक आप किसी खबर पर भरोसा कर पाते हैं तब तक वो फेक न्यूज बिना जूते पहने पूरे ब्रह्मांड का चक्कर लगाती है, जब तक कि कोई फैक्ट चेकर जूते पहनता है सच्चाई के और आपके सामने सच लेकर आता है, तब तक ये जो 6 इंच की स्क्रीन आपकी हथेली में है, सोशल मीडिया के जितने प्लेटफॉर्म हैं, वे सारे प्लेटफॉर्म उस झूठ को चंद सेकंड के अंदर दुनिया के कोने कोने तक पहुंचा देते हैं। आशुतोष जी ने इस्लामाबाद पर कब्जे का जिक्र किया। यकीनन वो 3 दिन न केवल भारत बल्कि दुनिया की पत्रकारिता के इतिहास में एक काले धब्बे के रूप में दर्ज रहेंगे। दुनिया के तमाम देशों में इस तरह की लड़ाइयां चलती रहती हैं, लेकिन जितना झूठ उन 3 दिनों में भारत की मीडिया ने, खास तौर से इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया ने परोस दिया, उतना झूठ परोसने में अगली 1 सदी लग जाएगी। और इसका नुकसान न केवल मीडिया को हुआ है बल्कि देश को भी हुआ है। देश का भरोसा उठ गया है हमारे ऊपर से। लोग सच ढूंढने के लिए अब पहले फैक्ट चेकर्स को देखते हैं कि ऑल्ट न्यूज ने क्या कहा इस तस्वीर के बारे में, इस वीडियो के बारे में, तब कहीं भरोसा कर पाते हैं। जबकि पत्रकारिता का मूल सिद्धांत, पहला सिद्धांत है कि आपको सच अपने पाठकों तक, दर्शकों तक, उपभोक्ता तक पहुंचाना है। आज की तारीख में हम ग्राहक भी हैं। अखबार खरीदने वाले ग्राहक से लेकर आप इंटरनेट खरीद कर ही आप फेसबुक, व्हाट्सएप या यूट्यूब चैनल देखते हैं, तो उस ग्राहक, पाठक और दर्शक के साथ धोखा हो रहा है। और सच के साथ तो ये है, कृष्ण बिहारी नूर ने कहा, सच घटे या बढ़े तो सच न रहे, सच घटे या बढ़े तो सच न रहे, झूठ की तो कोई इंतहा ही नहीं। हमारे देश में इस वक्त झूठ की इंतहा नहीं। देश के शीर्ष नेतृत्व में बैठे हुए लोग अपने आधिकारिक बयानों में दुनिया के सबसे बड़े लोकतंत्र की सबसे बड़ी पंचायत में, सदन में बैठकर झूठ बोलते हैं, लाल किले की प्राचीर से झूठ बोलते हैं। उस देश में अगर हम मीडिया से उम्मीद कर रहे हैं, जो उनकी गोदी में ही खेल रहा है, फल फूल रहा है, वो सच दिखाएगा, तो ये उम्मीद थोड़ा बेमानी है। मैं 2-3 छोटे उदाहरणों से फेक न्यूज की वानगी आपके सामने पेश करना चाहता हूं। हालिया वाकयात तो आशुतोष जी ने भी बताए और हम सब लोग जानते हैं। मैं थोड़ा और 10-12 साल पीछे ले जाना चाहता हूं, जब शुरुआत हुई थी इसकी। यद्यपि शुरुआत अभी 10-12 साल पहले नहीं हुई, जब ये मीडियम नहीं था, जब टेलीविजन नहीं था, यहां तक कि रेडियो भी देश में चुनिंदा हाथों में थे, चुनिंदा घरों में थे, तब झूठ फैलाने वाला एक कारखाना पोस्ट कार्डों पर झूठ फैलाया करता था। गुमनाम पोस्ट कार्ड चला करते थे। यहाँ बहुत सारे लोग उस पीढ़ी के हैं जो ये जानते होंगे कि उस वक्त उन पोस्ट कार्ड्स में क्या लिखा होता था। तब के प्रधानमंत्रियों के खिलाफ, राजनेताओं के खिलाफ या महात्मा गांधी के खिलाफ किस तरह की फेक न्यूज उन पोस्ट कार्डों के जरिए देश भर में घर घर पहुंचाई जाती थी। वहां से चलते हुए ये सिलसिला जब डिजिटल एज में आया, जब दुनिया इस मीडियम में आई, फेसबुक, ट्विटर, इंस्टाग्राम, व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप, ये सब आए, तब एक घटना का जिक्र करूंगा जो मैं मानता हूं कि मेरी जानकारी में वो शुरुआती घटना है। हजारों ऐसी घटनाएं होंगी। 2014 में नरेंद्र मोदी जी प्रधानमंत्री बने। मैं एक वेबसाइट में, न्यूज पोर्टल में चीफ एडिटर था। मेरे एक साथी ने 3-4 तस्वीरें दिखाई कि आज प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी सिंहस्थ उज्जैन में आए हैं और पवित्र शिप्रा में उन्होंने स्नान किया है। 2-3 तस्वीरें थी। सहज भाव से मैंने कहा लगा दीजिए, प्रधानमंत्री आए, स्वाभाविक है, खबर है। अचानक मुझे लगा कि अगर आज प्रधानमंत्री मध्य प्रदेश आए हैं तो आज के अखबारों में कहीं तो खबर होना चाहिए थी। 1-2 दिन पहले से सूचनाएं होती हैं, खबरें छपती हैं। मैंने फोटो दोबारा मंगाई, लैपटॉप पर उनको बार बार देखा, 2-3 बार जूम इन किया। 2-3 चीजें मुझे खटकी। एक तो प्रधानमंत्री के साथ जो सुरक्षा लगी हुई थी वो प्रधानमंत्री की अपनी कैटेगरी की नहीं थी। उनकी जो वर्दी और बाकी सब आर्मामेंट था उनका। दूसरा, उसमें मध्य प्रदेश के एक प्रभारी मंत्री की तस्वीर दिखाई दे रही थी। और जो नदी की जो बोट थी उसमें वहां के टेंट हाउस वाले का कोई साइन लगा हुआ था। मैंने अपने साथियों से कहा पहले चेक करो आज प्रधानमंत्री कहाँ थे, गूगल पे सर्च कर लो, मालूम पड़ जाएगा कहीं ना कहीं खबर। मालूम हुआ कि प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी उस दिन दिल्ली में थे, विज्ञान भवन में किसी कार्यक्रम में शामिल हुए थे। किसी दूसरे देश का कोई राजदूत आया था, वो अपना परिचय देने उनके यहाँ गया था। ये सारी चीजें उस दिन की मिल गई टाइमलाइन पे। अब सवाल ये था क्या वे तस्वीरें फर्जी थी, फोटोशॉप करके बनाई गई थी? मैंने अपने साथियों से कहा इसको ये सर्च करो ये असली है कि किसी का चेहरा लगा दिया है, किसी के चेहरे शरीर पर मोदी जी का फोटो लगा है। मित्रों तस्वीरें असली थी, पूरी तरह नरेंद्र मोदी की थी, उज्जैन की थी, सिंहस्थ की थी, लेकिन वे तस्वीरें तब की थी जब नरेंद्र मोदी गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री थे। वे जो प्रभारी मंत्री दिखाई दे रहे थे वे उस समय प्रभारी मंत्री थे मध्य प्रदेश के, और तब की सिंहस्थ स्नान की तस्वीरों को 2014 के बाद, अब मैं मुद्दे की बात पर आता हूं, इस हेडलाइन से वायरल किया गया था कि आजाद भारत के पहले हिंदू हृदय सम्राट प्रधानमंत्री हैं जिन्होंने सिंहस्थ में स्नान किया है। तस्वीरें असली थी, सूचना नकली थी, फेक थी, लेकिन मेरे रोकने से वे नहीं रुक सकती थी। तब तक पूरे हिंदुस्तान के व्हाट्सएप ग्रुपों में चली गई होंगी। अंधभक्तों की फौज ने इसी रूप में उसे आगे बढ़ाया होगा कि देखिए नरेंद्र मोदी पहले प्रधानमंत्री हैं सिंहस्थ स्नान करने वाले। ऑपरेशन सिंदूर का जिक्र कर ही चुके हैं इसलिए उस पर मैं विस्तार में नहीं जाऊंगा। ताजा दो घटनाएं, अभी लद्दाख में सोनम वांगचुक की बात शुरू में आप लोगों ने भी की थी। जिस दिन वहां हिंसा भड़की, कुछ घंटे के भीतर किसी एक व्यक्ति को कांग्रेस के पार्षद के रूप में बताकर उसके द्वारा गोली चलाए जाने का दावा नेशनल मीडिया ने, हिंदुस्तान के लश्करे मीडिया ने कर दिया कि कांग्रेस के एक नेता ने हिंसा भड़काई है, उसने गोली चलाई है। अगले कई घंटे बाद जब वो असली व्यक्ति जो पार्षद था जिसका नाम बताया जा रहा था उसने अपना वीडियो जारी किया, उसने कहा कि ये मैं हूं, वो पता नहीं कौन है जिसने गोली चलाई थी। लेकिन उतने घंटों के भीतर देश के कोने कोने तक ये खबर चली गई कि एक पार्टी के नेता ने गोली चलाई थी। और पिछले 24 घंटे पहले की खबर, देश के प्रधान न्यायाधीश चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया की माता श्री राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ के कार्यक्रम में मुख्य अतिथि होंगी, इसकी खबर हिंदुस्तान भर में तमाम मीडिया संस्थाओं में छपी। फिर एक पत्र जारी हुआ उनकी हैंडराइटिंग में कि मैं तो अंबेडकर को मानने वाली हूं, मैं ऐसी संस्था के कार्यक्रम में नहीं जाऊंगी और मुझे इस तरह का न्योता न मिला है न मैं जा रही हूं। उससे आगे की खबर यह है कि दूसरे पक्ष का कहना यह है कि सीजेआई की माताजी की यह चिट्ठी फेक है, उन्होंने चिट्ठी लिखी नहीं। हम यहाँ 15-20 हजार किलोमीटर दूर बैठकर नहीं जानते कि सचमुच में देश के चीफ जस्टिस की माताजी के नाम से कोई खबर चलाई गई, वो असली थी या नकली थी, फेक थी या एक्चुअल में कोई खबर थी। और इस फेक न्यूज का शिकार पूरी दुनिया है, हम इसमें भी विश्वगुरु हैं। ह्यूमन कम्युनिकेशन रिसर्च नाम की एक संस्था ने रिसर्च की, उसमें बताया है कि सबसे ज्यादा फेक न्यूज हमारे यहाँ ही दौड़ती है जी, 56% के आसपास। और बाकी पूरी दुनिया, इस वक्त पूरी दुनिया की 61% आबादी ये मानती है कि मीडिया से जुड़े लोग ही सबसे ज्यादा फेक न्यूज फैलाते हैं। आप सोचकर देखिए, जिसकी जिम्मेदारी थी सच बताना, असली सूचना पहुंचाना, उसके बारे में दुनिया की राय ये है, दुनिया के 61%, 61% लोगों का सोचना यह है कि मीडिया के लोग ही सबसे ज्यादा गलत खबर पहुंचाते हैं। एक छोटी सी बात और कहूंगा, अपनी बात को खत्म करने की तरफ ले जा रहा हूं। यह खतरा इसलिए बढ़ा है कि इंटरनेट, डिजिटल मीडियम के आने के बाद सूचना और समाचार का फर्क मिट गया। पत्रकार और गैर पत्रकार का फर्क मिट गया। जिसके हाथ में मोबाइल है, जिसके सामने कुछ घटित हो रहा है, वो उसे खबर के रूप में आगे बढ़ा देता है। वो अपनी फेसबुक पर, व्हाट्सएप पर, इंस्टाग्राम पर जहां उसे मौका मिलता है उसे खबर जैसी बनाकर पेश कर देता है, और फिर वो खबर के रूप में ही आगे बढ़ती रहती है। अंतर ये है मित्रों कि वो जो व्यक्ति है वो पत्रकार नहीं है, उसकी जवाबदेही नहीं है, उसकी जिम्मेदारी नहीं है कि वो कोई सूचना दे रहा है उसका कोई फैक्ट चेक करे, उसका कोई एडिटर उसके ऊपर नहीं बैठा है। लेकिन एक पत्रकार जब कोई सूचना आगे बढ़ाता है, जब वो कोई जानकारी लोगों तक पहुंचा रहा है, तो वो जिम्मेदार है कि वो जो बता रहा है, जो आगे बढ़ा रहा है, जो सूचना लोगों तक पहुंचा रहा है, वो सही है, गलत नहीं है। अब थोड़ी सी मिथकों की बात हो रही थी तो मैं अपनी बात को खत्म करने की तरफ जा रहा हूं। ऐसा भी नहीं है कि ये फेक न्यूज इसी कलयुग की पहचान हो। द्वापर में भी फेक न्यूज चलती थी सर। दो उदाहरण है उसके। सबसे बड़ा उदाहरण है जो मान्यता है महाभारत युद्ध का कारण जिसे माना जाता है, जिस वाक्य को यह समझा जाता है कि उस वाक्य के चलते महाभारत हुआ, कि द्रौपदी ने कहा कि अंधों के अंधे ही होते हैं। सर ये फेक न्यूज थी। महाभारत युद्ध समाप्त होने के बाद जब रनिवास में तमाम शूरवीरों की विधवाएं, अभिमन्यु की पत्नी और तमाम लोग जब वहां बैठे और ये महिलाएं जब विमर्श कर रही थी, उस संवाद में ये सिद्ध हुआ कि वहां उस दिन वो जो पानी की छवि में पैर रख गए थे दुर्योधन इत्यादि, वो जो वाक्य बताया गया कि द्रौपदी ने कहा है कि अंधों के अंधे ही होते हैं, तो तब उन्होंने कहा कि मैंने तो ऐसा कहा ही नहीं था। द्वापर की वो फेक न्यूज महाभारत युद्ध छिड़वा देती। एक और दूसरा उदाहरण, अश्वत्थामा हंतो नरोवाच कुंजरोवा, ये भी फेक न्यूज थी, लेकिन ये अर्ध सत्य थी, आधा सच भी था इसमें, क्योंकि अश्वत्थामा हाथी भी था और वो शूरवीर भी था। तो हमारे देश में सदियों से, सहस्त्राब्दियों से फेक न्यूज रही है, लेकिन अब इस जागरूक समय में, सूचना विस्फोट के इस युग में, अगर हम फेक न्यूज के मारे हैं तो इसके पीछे के कारणों की तलाश भी जरूरी है। आखिर वे कौन लोग हैं जो इस झूठ को फैलाकर या तो सत्ता में बने रहना चाहते हैं या अतीत के महानायकों की चरित्र हत्या कर रहे हैं, और आज के दिन भी उन्होंने बख्शा नहीं है। हिंदुस्तान में सत्ता में बैठे लोग आज, अभी आप सब लोग इस बातचीत के बाद चेक कर लीजिए, राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी के खिलाफ सत्ता में बैठे बड़े बड़े लोगों के ट्विटर हैंडल जहर से भरे पड़े आशुतोष जी। लेकिन इस झूठ के दौर दौरे में सच अंततः विजयी होगा, इस कामना के साथ। आंधी का कोई खौफ न खतरा हवाओं का, आंधी का कोई खौफ न खतरा हवाओं का, मैंने दिए जलाए हैं सूरज को तोड़ के, ताबीर बन के आने वाली है अब सहर, सूरज बना रहा हूं दिए जोड़ जोड़ के। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।
थैंक यू राकेश जी फॉर एन एक्सीलेंट स्पीच। और मैं आपकी स्पीच सुन के मुझे यही लग रहा था कि हम हर दिन कुछ ना कुछ बोलने की कोशिश करते हैं, जिस भी फॉर्म में सच लाने की कोशिश करते हैं। पहले तो ये होता था कि आप आंधियों से जूझ रहे हो, यहाँ तो सुनामी से हम रोज जूझ रहे हैं। मुझे नहीं पता कैसे इसको बैटल आउट करेंगे, बट इट्स रियली अ वेरी चैलेंजिंग टास्क। अभी बहुत सारी चीजें थी, मैंने सोचा था और भी चीजें डिस्कस हो पाएंगी, थिंग्स रिलेटेड टू एआई, बिकॉज दिस वाज आल्सो पार्ट ऑफ द टॉपिक दैट हाउ डू यू ब्रिंग इन एथिक्स इन द एआई वर्ल्ड। वो चीजें रह गई। गवर्नमेंटल फ्रेमवर्क आ जाता है किसी न किसी फॉर्म में, सेफ्टी रूल्स बना दिए जाते हैं, लेकिन अंत में क्या होता है, गवर्नमेंट की जो ओवरसाइट है वो बढ़ जाती है। लेकिन हमें उस ओवरसाइट से कैसे बैटल आउट करना है, हमारे पास क्या ऑल्टरनेटिव्स हैं, we don't have those alternatives, honestly speaking. So it's really, I don't know what are the answers, but yes, we can keep walking these small steps towards speaking the truth, putting out the truth, but I must tell you that when we were putting our conferences pictures on the social media, मेरे फेसबुक वॉल पे बहुत सारे लोगों ने लिखा, जितने भी लोग यहाँ पे बैठे थे, कि ये सारे एंटी नेशनल्स इकट्ठे हो गए हैं, किनको किसने उनको स्पॉन्सर किया है। एक मेरी आशुतोष राकेश जी की तस्वीर थी, शीतल जी की, हाँ, तो उन्होंने लिखा कि ये किसने स्पॉन्सर किया है इन सारे एंटी नेशनल्स को, इस पर पड़ताल की। छाया बेजी, यू वर आल्सो पार्ट ऑफ द पिक्चर। So this is